Welcome everyone to the Proven Knowledge Podcast. I'm your host, Anthony Church. I'm a music producer from Northeast Ohio. I began this weekly interview series to give you different perspectives from artists, producers, engineers, and other individuals in the music industry. In each episode, we touch on not only what has helped the person succeed, but we also touch on what has shaped them into the person that they are today. I hope you're able to gain some real proven knowledge from the show, and that it helps elevate you on your own journey to success as well. Let's get into it. What's going on, everyone? Welcome to episode 212 here on the Proven Knowledge Podcast. Today I welcomed a producer from the Tampa area in Florida. Her name is Ezi Bear. She actually followed me on Instagram earlier this spring. I was able to check out some of her material on Instagram and YouTube, and just became a fan of what she was doing, so I reached out to her about being on the episode, and we made that happen this week. Very excited to have her on the show. She talked about, her early experiences in music around the age of 15, learning to produce from her sister and a few other peers as well, why she uses both FL Studio and the SP404 for beat making, what goes into her sample selection process, some of her influences. She also talked about the EP that she's working on that should be out by the time this episode drops, so be on the lookout for that. Like I said, check out her YouTube channel, her Bandcamp. She's doing all kinds of cool stuff. And I look forward to hopefully working with her very soon because I love her style and I think we could make some really cool stuff as well. So just a really cool conversation with a fellow producer doing some awesome things this week. So without further ado, let's get into this one. All right, well, welcome everyone to episode 212 here on the Proven Knowledge Podcast. Today we have a really, really cool producer out of Florida. I believe she's from the Tampa area. Everybody, please welcome Ezi Bear to the show. How are you doing today?
I'm doing good. How are you doing?
I'm doing great. Like I said, thanks for getting in touch with me. And, like I said, when I saw your page and your material, I was just a fan of your sound and what you're doing, and I thought it would be cool to have you on the show today, and I'm happy to have you here. So we pretty much start out every episode by having the guest give some background, about how you got into music initially, like what led you to wanting to become a producer.
Well, I started making music when I was like 15, and back in elementary, I was in this group called the bucket drumming group called the FBI, and it was called the Funky Beat Initiators. And I was just so attracted to the sound and how the way my teacher, Mr. Lane, was, making beats on a bucket with sticks. So I was like, I wanted to get into that. So me and my twin sister, we ended up playing with the other boys that was playing in the bucket drumming group, and it just started from there, and everything is just history from there.
Yeah. Incredible name, by the way. Like,
Thank you.
I don't even know how you'd come up with that, but that's a great name to start with. And I like that too because it shows that it was around that early on for you, just a love for it, and then it eventually evolved into doing your own thing. And how did you pick up producing specifically as far as like doing it on? Because I know you use like the SP404 and you use FL Studio a little bit as well, from what I've seen. So, like, how did that initial love lead to where you are now, you think?
Well, that's a good question. Pretty much, it was my cousin Eddie. He's the one that actually put me on that, and he taught me the ropes on how to make music, how to produce, and how to mix and master your own thing. And also he was in Full Sail University. And me just being like this little kid, just wanted to have fun and just, be in the studio like a playground. I just wanted to join and just want to have fun and just wanted to see what I can do and be more creative from that.
Yeah. Yeah, I love that. And it's kind of good when you have someone there to kind of show you a little bit about it too. Because I know for everybody, it's kind of different whether you have someone there or not. You kind of just got to figure it out as far as, what do you want to do specifically? And then when you find it, it's like you just get to experiment and have fun with it, especially when you start out. And I think that's like the best time when you're creating, because there's just like it's almost like a freedom, like an innocence to it, because you don't know any better. So you're just like, I'm gonna go in and just make what feels right. And that's like
Exactly.
that's really where like the true creative nature comes from at the end of the day. And it's sometimes it's obviously hard to keep that as we go along, and as we keep going. I do want to know for you, like influence wise, it could have been producers or artists coming up, or even nowadays. Like, who do you think are some of your influences that have really rubbed off on your sound, or people you look at and you're like, I want to kind of do that, but in my own way?
First off, I have to say K Tronada. Like K Tronada is just like up there. Like he inspired me in so many ways. My homeboy, Please Believe, Smooth Operator, the rest of the boys that I linked up to, Abnormal, Matt, everybody else that influenced me to like, get better and get inspired. And also my homeboy, KO Love, he really inspired me to like, just be you and just have fun with it. You don't have to compare yourself to be like everybody else. Just have fun with it.
Yeah. And that's the best advice you could give, honestly, at the end of the day, because it all comes back to that initial, like, why do you do what you do? You know what I mean? And if the fun's not there, it's like, why do it at all? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I definitely love that. And so Kate Tronada, you're probably excited for the new album then coming out here in a few weeks.
Yes,
yeah.
I'm very, very excited for the new album.
Yeah. Yeah, I heard that the track list came out, but I haven't seen like who's on it, like feature wise or anything. But I'm definitely looking forward to that. Have you heard of a producer named Kalen Ellis by chance?
To be very honest with you, I have not.
Okay, I might have to put you on to him as well, because he was actually like pretty close collaborators with Kate Tronada, like when they both were coming up. So like in like 2012, 13. And then like Kalen Ellis has worked with like Lupe Fiasco and people like that, and now he's doing like his own projects. But he has like a very like neo soul mixed with like jazz mixed with chill hop, like it, but it's his own style. And I feel like it's stuff that you would definitely like as a fan of Kate Tronada. But I know that he was like a collaborator with Kate Tronada before. I think he had a different moniker back then. Kate Tronada was like, he called himself something else before, but Kalen Ellis is like friends with him too. So I've been listening to a lot of Kalen Ellis's stuff, and I'm excited for the Kate Tronada project too, because I know he hasn't put out a solo project I think since like 2019. So yeah, that's exciting. So definitely looking forward to that. And as far as what you make beats with, like we said, SP404, I've seen you do some FL Studio stuff. Is there a preference there? And like, why did you decide to use those initially? Like, is there a reason for that, or?
Like I said before, I started using FL Studio like way back when I was 15. I was using the crack version.
Yeah. Classic.
we all been there.
Yep.
But yeah, I ended up using that, and my twin sister actually put me on that actually, and that's how I ended up making like beats. Like I was making house beats at the time, and I sucked at making house beats, but I ended up getting better at it. But anyways, I like FL Studio because it's right there in your face. The SP404 is like right there in your face as well, and it's easy to use. But before I used the SP404, I used the OG version of the SP404 at that time when I like got into it.
Yeah. I always get asked like why I used FL Studio or why I still use it. I just said it's because I saw like my favorite producers use it, and it just felt easy to learn. Like I would just go to YouTube and watch some tutorials and figure it out, and I just kept using that. For some reason, like the SP404 and MPCs and stuff, they are daunting to me. Maybe it's just I'm in my own head, but they look like they're hard to learn. Is that true, or is that like, am I just saying that to myself to not try one day?
No, I will say this: you got to get out of your comfort zone to get better at what you really want to do when it comes to new equipment or producing or whatever it is. Like I had like the KO Pocket machine, and I didn't even know how to use it, but I ended up getting better at using it. Every blue moon I would use it. Or the koala sampler. The koala sampler is really good too as well to start off as a beginner, as a producer. But with the SP44, I'm more hands-on. I like to stay hands-on when it comes to like making music.
Yeah.
But the DAW, you're just clicking. You're just clicking. But actually like putting your own flavor on a machine, like you can't go wrong with that. But it won't hurt to try to get out of your comfort zone and try something new.
Yeah. I definitely love that advice too. And I think that can apply to a lot of different people's journeys as well. Yeah. So I do want to get into your process as well, your creative process, and pretty much like how you end up crafting each track, or how you kind of go about even starting ideas. Because I know a lot of people, they might start with the melody or they might start with drums and then go from there. Is there like kind of a thing that, or kind of a way that you approach it, or is it always different depending on like the initial idea that you find and then you just run with it from there?
I just run with it from there, to be honest with you, because what I would do, well, in my workflow or my work process, what I would do is I would chop up the sample first, then have my kick and snare. Some people don't really know nothing about this, but nine out of 10, I'll be using the kick and the snare. I don't use the hi-hats or the open hi-hats. Every blue moon I would use the hi-hat or open hi-hat. But I will play those at the same time just to get the feeling of it. And once I got the feeling for it, that's when I put everything together.
Yeah.
And to be honest, I don't use any bass whatsoever in my music. Every blue moon I'll use a bass, but certain music don't need to have a bass when it comes to music.
Yeah.
When you're making your own flavor.
Hey there, hope you're enjoying the episode so far. I just wanted to take a quick minute out to let you know about a couple different ways that you can support the podcast. One of the ways is by clicking that support the podcast button within your streaming platform. That is if you want to be a monthly supporter of the show. You can contribute either 99 cents, $5, or $10 a month. So that's the first way, and that's the more traditional way that we've had now for the last couple years. The other method that we actually just recently introduced is from our good friends over at Ko-fi. Ko-fi is a virtual tip jar. We have set our limit to a minimum of $10, but you can go make one-time, one-off donations. So if you visit ko-fi.com/the Proven Knowledge Podcast, you'll be able to donate. And all these different forms of donation go towards getting new guests every single week, getting potential sponsors on board to do giveaways, and overall just making the show better for you guys. So if you want to do that Ko-fi link, it's ko-fi.com/the Proven Knowledge Podcast. Otherwise, again, look for that support the podcast button in your streaming platform if you'd like to be a monthly supporter. And I just want to say thank you guys for your contributions. And without further ado, let's get back into the episode. Yeah, I love that. And I feel like a lot of, even when you sample, you can get bass tones from the sample too. So you might not always need it because it'll kind of clash with everything and kind of make it like a muddy mess at the end of it all. As far as samples go, because I don't think I've ever asked this to anybody, but is there like a certain process you go when you're looking for samples? Like what do you look for to say like, yeah, I want to try to flip this and make something out of this?
Like I would basically like look more into the 90s, like neon soul, whether if it's like Jill Scott, Madlib, or NDRE, anything that I can look for that has that good feel to it, or if it's like a boom bap type sample, I can go into that, or if it's like smooth jazz, anything that I can look up, I'll just tap into that.
Yeah. And
it's hard for me to like tap into the new generation of music because it's hard for me to sample those type of things. So that's why I go way back from the 90s to the 70s to the 60s to the 80s.
Yeah. I love that. And I feel like that's where a lot of the like soul is and a lot of that music too. And it was made with a lot of more traditional instruments too. So it's a lot easier to pick things from and be like, we can actually use this, as opposed to sampling, like you said, the more modern stuff. And I don't think it's like, there's nothing wrong with that stuff, but I see exactly what you're saying. Cause it's like, there's just like that element to it. It's almost like a warm element to it, to some of the music back then that just lacks in the stuff nowadays. So, I definitely love that as well. I did want to know about, kind of how you approach making beats. Like, have you always looked at it as you just want to make beats kind of just on your own merit and just kind of do your own thing, self-release music? Or have you always looked at, you want to try to make beats for artists, you want to kind of develop with an artist or work with someone else? Or has it not really ever mattered to you? You're just kind of making music and then you'll figure out where it goes from there.
It didn't really matter to me, to be honest, because like I said before, making music is like a playground to me. And I just love to have fun and I love to collaborate with anyone, or whether if it's a rapper, a singer, or a poet, doesn't really matter who you are. I'm more than welcome to to collaborate with other people.
Yeah.
And also, if I'm not collaborating with other people, I just love making music for myself, whatever mood I'm in.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's the best way to do it. You know what I mean? Not put all the pressure on yourself either, and just be able to do what you love and figure out what you're gonna do with it from there. So I definitely think that's awesome. And I was gonna ask earlier about the name too. I would love to know the backstory behind the Ezi Bear name. Like, is there a story to it? Did it just kind of like come to you one day? Like, what's going on there?
Easy came from a chorus of Easy E, but I just, flipped it and did my own thing. And Bear came from this movie called, I think, Cocaine Bear or something like that, the movie.
Oh,
or something
yeah.
like that. I forgot the name of the movie, but it's something like that where a bear gets snort cocaine or whatever and get all hype or whatever.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's just called Cocaine Bear, yeah. I know what you're talking about.
So I just took the bear name and I just put like Ezi Bear and just put it up like that.
Yeah. Yeah, I was going to say, because that movie, I don't think that movie's that old either. I think it probably just came out a couple years ago. Because I remember people talking about it on the internet. But apparently that's based on a true story too, which I don't know if that's factual or what, but apparently that's a thing, so.
It's all good. It's all good. Hey, if people laugh about it, that's a good thing.
Yeah. Well, that's definitely not where I thought that was going, but it's definitely a great name, and you can do a lot with the branding too. Have you ever seen the show The Bear though? There's a show called The Bear.
Yeah, The Bear. Yeah.
I love that show. That's like one of my favorite shows. And that's like about a guy that opened a restaurant. So totally different show, but yeah, I do love the name, and I think that it stands out for sure. So
thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. And outside of doing music, creating, like when you're not creating, what are some other things that you do to kind of like keep your mind in tune with creativity? Could be hobbies, could be just daily activities that you do to kind of refuel and recharge and then come back later.
Definitely working out, staying hydrated. That's what keep me going, and also having my music in my head 24/7 while I'm working out. Rather if I'm listening to Buddy, Nipsey Hussle, or even like some throwback music, I always keep music in my head constantly 24/7 while I'm out on the go. It could be playing video games, could be like anime soundtracks that I'd be looking at or hearing. That also inspires me to get better. Also looking at other producers while I'm on walking or anything like that, or like to different other producers, podcasts that get motivated.
Yeah. A lot of intake of a lot of different types of inspiration. Yeah, I definitely feel that one. And I do want to, touch a little bit on the marketing side and putting yourself out there, doing things like Instagram. I know that you're building a great YouTube channel. I love what you're doing on YouTube, by the way, with the vlogs and everything so far. So just touch on that a little bit. Like, what goes into your decision making with what you're doing on these platforms?
Well, I'm trying to market myself the best way I know how, because like an upcoming producer like myself or a beat maker, we do struggle to promote ourselves, and it's hard for us like put a pedestal but on a surface where we need to like grow. Because what I have realized and learned, that artists do need producers just to make music. Without producers, what do artists have? You got to think about those type of things. So that's how I feel about it. And I go on Bandcamp, of course, and I've been doing pretty good on Bandcamp. I only made like 2 EPs. I got another EP coming out too along the way, but I'm gonna be releasing it probably like the end of this month or so. So, yeah.
Awesome. Is there anything you can reveal about the EP? Like what kind of style, like title, like what can you give us?
The title is still in the making as of right now because like I haven't picked any titles yet.
Okay.
And the music that I have select is going to be more like a neon soul smooth era, like kind of like more like Sade, but more of a oomph to it, But it's going to be with different types of styles of R&B, boom bap, etc. and so forth.
Nice. I'm definitely looking forward to it because that sounds right up my alley. So, and I still got to check out the other EPs because I was on the Bandcamp and I saw that they were on there, and I was like, I got to check them out. So I got to go back and get caught up first. But like I said, congrats on doing those vlogs and everything. And I don't know if I subscribe to your channel yet, but I'm gonna do that as well because I like what you're doing over there. So congrats on all that. And we're down to the last few questions here. These are ones I ask on every episode. And the first one is, if you could go back 10 years ago and give yourself a piece of advice, or maybe not change anything at all, what do you think you would do?
I would say to that 15-year-old girl, I would tell her, hey, don't even really think about what other people think about your music. Don't go hard on yourself. And you're in your own little world to the point that this is your creation. This is your craft. This is your canvas. You can paint it however you want to paint it with, And if people don't like it, another person will.
Yeah. Love that. And if we flip that then and we say 10 years from now, where do you think you envision yourself in life, in music, everything?
Wow, that's a good question. I can see myself working with like big producers, even if it's underground producers, like be like Mos Def. I would love to work with Mos Def one day. And Andre 3000 and Outkast, all that, and different other artists that's out there, and hopefully have a good bond with other people that's out there.
Yeah, I was gonna say, if you can get Andre to start rapping again, I'm sure people would, appreciate that, but don't know if that's ever gonna happen again. So we'll have to see. But and the final question we have is, do you have any final words of wisdom today for the listeners?
Yeah, I do. For the people trying to get my words right. For the people that just now want to be a producer or a rapper or a singer, etc., so forth, keep going and pursue your dreams no matter what type of situation you're in. But always have a backup plan no matter what type of situation it is. Always have a backup plan because you never know what's going to happen. And collab with other people because you never know who's watching, you never know who's listening, you never know who's going to be out there that's going to be liking your stuff.
Yeah.
Like, don't be afraid. I understand people can be an introvert. I'm an introvert, but you gotta get out of the comfort zone.
Mm-hmm. A lot of power in that for sure. A lot of power, especially as creatives. So, but I gotta say, once again, Ezi Bear, I appreciate you so much for taking the time out of your day to join me, and I hope you enjoyed it. I did, and we'll have to do a part 2 one day. But I'm excited for all the stuff you got coming out, and congrats again on what you're doing. And I'm gonna keep up to date with everything. So, thanks again.
Thank you so much, Anthony. Truly appreciate it, man.
Thanks everyone for listening today. That was episode 212. We'll be back this time next week. As always, hit the support button on your podcast streaming platform if you'd like to send any funds. And feel free to leave us that 5-star rating if you enjoyed today's episode. So we'll see you then. Thanks everyone.